In any high-risk job, whether it's on a construction site or a factory floor, there is this invisible system that's always running, always working to prevent a total disaster. It's literally the thing that separates a totally normal Tuesday from a tragedy that makes the 6 o'clock news. It's called Health, Safety, and Environment, or just HSE. So let's pull back the curtain on this incredible framework that keeps us all safe.
So, what does it actually take to stop an accident before it happens? I mean, do we just cross our fingers and hope for the best? Is it all just common sense? Or is there a real, deliberate science to staying safe? The answer is, well, it's a lot more interesting than you might think.
Really, it all boils down to three big things. First, there's the moral driver, the simple, human idea that everyone you work with deserves to go home in one piece at the end of the day. Then there's the legal part, the strict laws that hold companies responsible. And finally, there's the financial reason. And trust me, accidents don't just cost a company in fines, they cost a ton in lost time, damaged reputation, and even lost talent. These three forces, the moral, the legal, and the financial, they're the powerful why behind every single safety rule you've ever seen. They're the reason we build these complex systems, not just to react when something goes wrong, but to stop it from ever happening in the first place.
So what's the end goal here? Well, the official definition of safety is probably way broader than you imagine. It isn't just about protecting people from getting hurt. It's about protecting property from being damaged, protecting the environment from getting harmed, and even protecting a company's reputation from taking a hit. It's like a full 360-degree shield. Now, if you want to build that shield, you have to understand the two words at the absolute heart of every safety decision: hazard and risk. Look, people mix these two up all the time, but getting them right, that's the key to seeing the world the way a safety professional does.
Okay, let's break this down. It's super simple. A hazard is anything that has the potential to hurt someone. Think of an open hole in the ground. It's just sitting there. The risk, on the other hand, is the chance that someone will actually fall into that hole and how badly they might get hurt if they do. And that's the whole game right there. You can't always eliminate the hole, but you can always manage the risk of someone falling in.
And that right there is the #1 mission of HSE. It is not about creating some fantasy world where there are zero hazards. That's just impossible. It's about spotting the real-world hazards all around us and then systematically managing the risks down to a level that we can all live with.
So you might be asking, how do big organizations actually do this consistently? Well, it's not by accident. They use a formal HSE management system. The best way to think of it is like the operating system for safety. It's a whole framework of policies and procedures that make sure safety is baked into every single task, not just something you bolt on at the end and hope for the best. Okay, that's enough of the theory. Let's see how all this stuff actually works when the pressure is on. We're going to take a look at a super common but also extremely high-risk job to see these principles in the real world. Our case study is excavation. Yep, just dig in a trench. I know it looks so straightforward, right? But believe it or not, statistically, it is one of the most dangerous jobs in construction, and it's filled with all these hidden threats that an HSE system is designed to find and neutralize. So, what are these invisible dangers we're talking about? Well, the #1 killer is a cave-in. That's where thousands of pounds of soil can just collapse and bury a worker in seconds. But that's not all. You've got the risk of hitting buried power lines or gas pipes, running into deadly invisible gases, or even just running out of breathable air. This is a seriously high-stakes environment. So, how do you control that #1 hazard, the cave-in? Well, for any trench that's deeper than about 5 feet, or 1.5 meters, you can't just dig a straight wall down. You have to use a protective system. One of the most common ones is called benching, where you cut the walls into steps. You're basically using geometry to fight against gravity and stop a collapse. Pretty clever, right? But that's just one piece of the puzzle. Safety is all about layers. Before anyone even thinks about moving a single scoop of dirt, they need a permit. The whole area is surveyed for underground pipes and cables. The soil itself gets tested to figure out the best way to protect the walls. Then the site is barricaded, safety signs go up, and you plan for safe ways in and out. It's a whole system of overlapping safeguards. But look, even with the absolute best plans in the world, things can still go wrong. And that is why a huge part of any HSE system is knowing exactly what to do when an emergency strikes. It's all about being prepared, not panicked. Let's take a classic emergency, a fire.
The secret to fighting a fire is understanding this really simple but powerful idea called the fire triangle. See, a fire needs 3 things to live: heat, fuel, and oxygen. The entire science of putting out a fire is based on one principle. If you can take away just one of those 3 sides, the triangle breaks and the fire goes out. Simple as that.
So, how do you use a fire extinguisher to break that triangle? All you have to do is remember one little word: pass. First, you peel the pin. Then you aim the nozzle at the base of the fire, not the flames. You gotta attack the fuel source. Then you squeeze the lever, and finally, you sweep from side to side. Every single one of those steps is designed to either cool the heat or smother the oxygen, breaking that triangle and stopping the fire in its tracks. But, all of these systems, all these plans, all this equipment, they have one thing in common. They're all completely useless without the final, most important component, and that's you. A real safety culture isn't built on paper. It's built by people who get it and who accept their role in keeping everybody safe. One of your biggest roles is just being aware. And safety signs are like a universal language to help you read the world around you. A red circle, that means stop. Don't do it, something's prohibited. A yellow triangle is a warning, telling you there's a hazard nearby. A blue circle means it's mandatory. You have to do it. And a green square, well, that shows you the way to safety, like a first aid station.
And that brings us to your last line of defense: personal protective equipment, or PPE. This is your gear: the hard hat, the safety glasses, the gloves. It's what protects you directly when all the other systems and plans can't get rid of the risk completely. Think of it as your personal armor at work. So, there you have it. We've covered the why, the what, and the how of HSE. We've basically given you a new lens to see the world with. Now that you know how to spot a hazard, how to think about risk, and how to read the language of safety, what do you see? I'm serious, look around you, right now. Because the very first step to making the world a safer place is just learning how to really see the one we're already in.